Hello, my name is Nick Drapeau. I'm an American from New Jersey. If you ask me what I associate Kazakhstan with, I'll tell you that Kazakhstan is one of the few countries in the planet where civilization, with its inherent features, peacefully coexist with the unique virgin nature, rich history, and many-sided culture of the people, whose traditions are so different from Americans.
Desert, steep, you find the mountains, wonderful snow-capped mountains, you find plain grounds, you have hills, and you have lakes, big lakes, you have rivers, you have, of course there's no sea, but nevertheless, I think the nature is wonderful in Kazakhstan.
Well, since nature itself has endowed the Kazakhs with this incredibly beautiful sceneries and unique landscapes, the originality of the culture manifests itself in the warm and hospitable souls of these people. I offer you to visit again this amazing place where Tim, Zach, and I were lucky enough to have an unforgettable impression and have many positive emotions. This is the Yurt Village, where we will go along with our friendly company. Clean air, dancing of nature, ethnic music, tasting national dishes in the open air, archery competitions, and the first acquaintance with horses, and the joy of feeling that you are in the very center of life. The feeling of peace was enhanced by the color and appearance of these places. The first thing that impressed me was the yurts, the traditional dwellings of the Kazakhs, which looked like teepees or wigwams. The decoration of the yurt also struck me. It was so convenient and comfortable to be here that I wanted to move this whole structure to Texas prairies and live there for several days, because the yurt has several important characteristics at once. First, it's able to keep warm in the winter and cool in the summer. Secondly, it can be quickly assembled and disassembled, just like Lego bricks. And third, it's easy enough to transport. Yes, it's true that the Nomads would not be able to survive in the harsh steppe climate if they had not been so inventive.
It's pretty cool. I was at one stage, I even had a contract with a Chinese factory to import yurts into Australia because according to Australian Building Code, the yurt is classified as a tent, so you don't need a building permit for it. You don't need to go to the council to get any planning or building permits or anything like that. You just order it, bring it, and just chuck it on your front yard or backyard, and it becomes your guest house, you know, a second home, a granny flat, whatever you want to call it.
But most of all, I was struck by the respectful attitude of the people towards whoever they meet, especially the older ones. Eventually, in this country, I have come to feel completely safe. I would add one more national feature to this list: the generosity and the hospitality of the Kazakhs. I can say that they are the most hospitable people in the world.
It's absolutely true, because I have been to many countries, but I don't think I can remember any country where the host could cut a whole sheep. So I think, yeah, the Kazakh, they're very warm natured, and they always are very happy to see the guests in their homes. And I think that's wonderful. I think that's one of the magnet that draws people to this country.
Kazakh hospitality is very welcoming. Kazakh people are very welcoming, and since I'm here, I was very surprised, you know, how welcome people are. You know, they invite you, they are curious to know about where you are from, what is the reason why you are here, and they know the French culture. They want to talk about film, about football, and they're always communicative and curious. So I'm enjoying this.
If you ever happen to visit them, I assure you, you will not stay hungry. I was convinced of this when we were invited to the yurt, where a rich table, called a dastarkhan, with a huge amount of authentic food, was waiting for us.
Казахи обожают еду. Казахи обожают встречаться.
Kazakhs love food. They love to meet each other, and the dastarkhan is always full. Everything is on the table. Lots of baked goods and greasy foods, lots of calories. However, Kazakhs are mostly not fat people.
можно сказать, в основном.
In Kazakhstan, they need to have a lot of meat on the table and a lot of dish, you know. In France, it's different. We have several dishes. We come with small portion, but a lot of different dishes on the plate. So it's a bit different between Kazakhstan and France. It's in France, it's small portion, but many. In Kazakhstan,
King size.
yes, king size, blue dog, kaze, and what else? Borsak, chachak.
Not everyone would be able to digest such an abundance of food in one sitting. But still, I recommend you to try the national dishes, kurdak and bishparmak. Trust me, they are delicious.
You can try it. You go to one of the key tourist attractions. You can try kumis. It's a horse milk. Just be careful though. Sometimes it acts as a laxative. I've had that experience. So just be easy on that to start with. And some of that kumis milk sometimes ferments and gets a bit of like alcoholic, taste to it. So yeah, it's a pretty cool place.
Before I came here in Kazakhstan, I didn't know that it was possible to drink this milk. We'd say it's kumis. I don't like it, but I found that strange. I like to try things that I don't know, like some dry meats and canina, dry canina. So there are a few ingredients that I like here, and now I bring to France. When I go to France, I bring some, this dry meat from canina, from horse meat, and I bring back to France, and my friend, they ask for it again, when I go back, so.
They also have a funny thing which is called kurt. Kurt is like a solid ball. It's like a cheese, cottage cheese, but hard.
After a heavy and square meal, as well as a heart-to-heart conversation, my friends and I went to a place with an extensive collection of weapons of the ancient nomads.
They are very good warriors. One of the secrets of war, moving very fast and knowing where to go and trying to maneuver. We know the history of the Mongolians, Genghis Khan comes to mind, that these people were very, very good horse riders, and the secret of their success is that they may have fewer armies than their enemies, but they were able to really conquer them with amazing speed, and with devastating impact.
The colorful reenactment of the equestrian battle made the strongest impression on me. I wanted to know what the equipment of the nomads consisted of. You will agree that it is incredibly difficult to fight in such an outfit, sitting on a horse, while the riders perfectly kept on their horses, showing us the masterly procession of the swords and spears. Looking at these scenes, I had a question. How much did this armor weigh, and what era did it belong to? The armor weighs 30 kilograms. This one, perhaps, is the heaviest armor, and people rode in it without a stirrup. It is unlikely to climb into the saddle even with stirrups. And keep in mind the fact that warriors were also equipped with swords and spears. They had to jump and fight and cut with a sword, as well as stab. The sword is exactly one-handed because the warriors could not hold it with both hands while holding the horse. It's necessary to gallop and fight and cut with the sword and still be able to stab. The presence of heavy armed horsemen shattered my notion that the nomadic army consisted only of lightly armed horse archers whose weapons reminded me of the armor of knights. This is the knights' armor. They are the heavy cavalry, and the main part of the Turkic army was light cavalry. This armor is of the 6th century, and the knights in Europe appeared much, much later.
This is where the whole of regalia or of the armor began, because as time went on, this instrument and these shields and all this protective shield, get more and more sophisticated and advanced, also began the civilization that we know today. I think they give us a lot of civilization. I want to believe that these people, as they were traveling, they were able to notice the sky, the unfailing sunshine. They watched the stars, the moon, the rain and everything. And I think that could be the beginning of science. It's the beginning of science, that's watching the nature and then trying to deduce something from there. So that's remarkable.
Here you are wearing the Turkic armor, and Turks were formed in the 6th century, the great Turkic Kaghanate. But this is the Kangju armor. It appeared 500 years earlier, and the armor of the early Iron Age. The Kangju state existed in the area between the Sirdarya and the Amu Darya rivers, between Uzbekistan and Kazakhstan. This armor was made according to a pattern on a plaque found in a burial ground near Samarkand. This burial ground dates back to the 2nd and 4th centuries BC. The difference in armors is at least 2 to 3 centuries. The sabers attack, and the bulk of the cavalry is from all sides. In this fierce massacre, it was possible to lose an arm or a leg. The shield did not help either. It was so heavy that it was difficult to put it against the heavy blows raining in from all sides. In order to preserve their lives, they needed powerful armor. Chainmail served as a barrier to a surprise attack. Yes, the chainmail was for internal protection, from a bow and from piercing, cutting wounds. The only thing is, if it is a spear at full gallop, then of course it will cause injury. From the bow, yes, there is complete protection. Well, now we can compare the Turkic leg guards and the Kangju leg guards. First, this one is longer. It reaches to the end of the legs. And secondly, it is wide, like a dress practically. That means it is much heavier than the Turkic one, while it protects almost the entire leg. There are much fewer plates in the Turkic one. They're lighter, and no protective properties are lost. Here the Kangju has a collar so heavy. It is not very convenient to shoot with this collar. Maybe later they made the aventail like this. This is a lamellar aventail. There are ringed ones as well. They are more convenient. It is much easier to turn your head, to shoot a bow, and to swing your head in all directions. You see here that the armor is placed upside down. It is convenient in the battle against infantry. If the infantryman is lower, the spear glides over the armor, and there is nothing for him to catch on. They, by the way, did not have a saddle. In fact, they rode on a soft pillow. Here is the difference between the Turkic and the Kangju armor. I must say that the weapons of these nomads changed and improved in the same way as their equipment. The most important weapon is the bow and arrow. Here, the quiver is made of the same thing as the plates and hangs from the same on the right side. It's made of a double tube. One tube is for arrows of long-term storage, and the other, which is lower than the arrow, is in order to snatch it out faster. Usuns and socks have an undivided single quiver. The main difference between them is this long one-handed sword. For example, in Europe, they had one like this 1,000 years later. Look, the sword of the Turks is powerful, but it is much more compact than the Kangju's. As you may have already noticed, Kazakhs are born as horsemen. This was clearly demonstrated in these various competitions of the Jigits, distinguished by their entertainment and originality. It's unbelievable.
I mentioned earlier, Kazakh people domesticated horses about 6,000 years ago. So it's no surprise that the Kazakh people have a lot of games relating to horse riding. Well, I think the one that comes to mind is the baiga.
I haven't heard about baiga. I've only heard about kokpar. Kokpar is a game when men ride on horses and they throw a sheepskin among themselves. They throw it among themselves and take it away, and then they race. But I've never seen it live, so I can't tell you whether I like it or not.
Про байгу я не слышала.
I haven't heard about baiga. I've only heard about kokpar.
На лошадях.
Kokpar is a game when men ride on horses and they throw a sheepskin among themselves. They throw it among themselves and take it away, and then they race. But I've never seen it live, so I can't tell you whether I like it or not.
As I said, horses are very central part, and if you go into the villages, you may see the traditional sport of Kazakh people where they take a dead sheep and they use it like as a ball. It's kind of like Kazakh Aussie rules where they use it as a ball to get it to point A and point B. The two teams compete against each other. Very rough, I think, in some times, and cool to watch.
What we know today as polo. Personally, I'm a lover of polo, and I'm a member of the Kazakh Polo Club. Legend has it that Kazakh people had been playing this game for thousands of years, and this tradition crossed to Persia in Iran, and they were playing this game for thousands of years, and this game moved to India from Persia, and we learned that it was in India that the British people discovered the game, and they fell in love with the game, and of course it became the game of the aristocrat, and so they developed the rules of the game, the puck, the balls, and today is elite game, and very expensive, I must say, but it's really, really a beautiful game, and I would recommend it, and that's amazing.
So, in order to take into account all the nuances of the Kazakhs' way of life, I must pass a single test. Kuzgu. The essence of the challenge was that I, on horseback, had to catch up with the girl rider. According to an ancient custom, before a young man would marry the girl, he must prove his skills as a rider, the ability to stay in the saddle. The custom demanded that the horseman, claiming the hand and the heart of the girl, would catch his bride on a steed. For this purpose, the game Kızku was started as a public meeting or at holidays. A girl and a young man on horseback would go out into the field.
In my country, we also love the horses. I think most countries in the world love horses. I can continue watching these gracious animals, and it's one of the. It's really exciting. To me, it's exciting to watch, and I like the fact that it's a fast game that we can play, and it's a really good game to me, and yeah, I love it.
So, in order to take into account all the nuances of the Kazakhs' way of life, I must pass a single test. Kızku. The essence of the challenge was that I, on horseback, had to catch up with the girl rider.
I go to Almaty race course, apart from the polo, and I take part in different competitions. One interesting competition or game which I witnessed is the one called Kızku. At first, I didn't understand what was going on, and I had to move closer to the people. So, in the end, I realized that the premise of the game is that the horse rider, the man who wants to marry a woman, so I think it's a kind of setup. So the woman is allowed to proceed on her horse, and the man has to catch up with the woman.
Wait, stop. There's no way that I can catch a girl riding a horse. How am I supposed to do that? Run?
Yeah, of course.
No way, that's impossible.
No way. Біздің салтымыз солай. That's our tradition.
According to an ancient custom, before a young man would marry the girl, he must prove his skills as a rider, the ability to stay in the saddle. The custom demanded that the horseman, claiming the hand and the heart of the girl, would catch his bride on a steed. For this purpose, the game Kızku was started as a public meeting or at holidays. A girl and a young man on horseback would go out into the field.
What do you mean it's your tradition? How am I gonna? It's impossible. Okay, so I catch her. Let's say I catch her, yeah? Impossible, but let's say. Then what? What'll happen after I catch her?
At the signal of the host, the girl whipped her horse and rode forward, and the man, riding his horse, would try to catch her and kiss her. If he didn't succeed, he had to rather ride away from the girl, since the girl, having caught him, was able to start hitting him with her whip, as hard as she could.
You're kidding. Kiss her?
Oh yeah. Kiss
Kiss her. So I have to.
It's our traditional national game.
You're joking. You
No.
gotta be joking.
That's no joke.
So I have to run after this
There's
girl
no any joke.
on a horse, catch her.
Catch her and kiss her. Just do it.
And you don't just catch up, you have to kiss her on the speed. I think that's that's a big challenge for any man. So I mean, the point here is that you got to be really, really good horse rider. You have to be master of the game to be able to do that, and in a very perfect. I remember one guy who did that very, very well, and I really envied the guy. But unfortunately, a lot of guys failed in this, and the punishment for failure as a man, of course, is that the woman will now have to meet you, catch up with you, and beat you, wipe you with the horse whip. That's funny. That's a very funny game and a very interesting game. So I like that and like that. But I must say, my first time of witnessing the game. Right.
You want it to become a jigit? Just do it. Do it.
So, in order to win my beloved girl, I was told to act just like Superman. Only I had a full belly. How was I supposed to mount this horse? Oh my god! Moreover, I had to catch up with this girl at full speed and kiss her.
Really? I can ride it now?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll try it.
Look there first.
Okay, let's go. Let's try it. I just come up to the horse. Nick. Tohta. What happened? Jigit ball үшін мынаны ки. What is this? What is that?
That's a costume of the butter of this jigit.
Kiyimi. Oh. Wow. This is really like what a jigit wears?
Yeah.
Is it necessary? I'm not going to war.
Yes, sir.
Okay, let me. Yeah, of course. This is an upgrade, yeah? Upgrade. Oh, nice.
To be honest, I have never sat on a horse, although I did not show it. But it was not easy for me to do this. Naturally, my confusion was evident to my friends. They brought me a horse and put on chainmail.
Maybe under it. Just my glasses.
Oh my god, how heavy it is! I tried to get into the saddle, but the horse didn't give me a chance. I made several more attempts. But only on the third time could I hardly climb onto it.
Saddle up. It's a real jigit.
The opportunity to sit on a horse or to ride it, to feel like a jigit for a while, was an impressive feeling, even when you're accompanied by a trick rider. Under the supervision of a master, you can safely try on the role of a real jigit. This gave me some confidence. I even felt a special pride in myself. This is how dashingly I can hold on, I thought. imagining myself as a knight in shining armor, or a kind of cowboy in an impeccably polished boots. If only my relatives and my American friends could see me now.
Nick, that's not good enough. You need to gallop. Yeah?
Who in his childhood didn't dream of being in the shoes of Clint Eastwood, who starred in those famous westerns? The dashing manners of this mysterious cowboy mesmerized all the boys in my town. So I, as a child, imagined myself as this hero as well.
Your spurs.
Шпоры звенели.
Just as he coldly looks at his enemy from under the cowboy hat, he burns with an evil look. So I slowly unbutton my holster, draw out my Colt, and suddenly shoot at my enemy ahead of him. The enemy dies, and then I jump on my horse and rush at full steam through the endless prairies of the Wild West. Or I could imagine myself as participating in a rodeo, where jingling my spurs, I would deftly prance onto an unbroken horse to the loud applause from enthusiastic fans. A wild Mustang, making unpredictable jumps, trying to throw me off. The audience cheers. The cowboy theme presented a lot of opportunities for the development of all kinds of fantasies in my consciousness, which was not so strong, so to speak. My dreams completely captured me. But apparently, my childhood dreams were not destined to come true.
Nick, wake up. Nick, how are you?
For several seconds, I looked at my friends indifferently, not understanding anything, until I realized that I was lying on the ground, barely alive.
What happened? What happened, Zach?
Адамды korktum ғой сендeki.
What happened to me?
We've just joked, Nick. Please forgive us. Nick, it was a joke.
Ник, кешір бізді. Кешірші. Біз қалжыңдадық.
This doesn't feel like a joke, huh? Am I a jigget now?
Енді сендегі жігіт болды. Көмектесейік, тұрғызайық.
Okay.
Жоқ қойшырың?
Yeah, okay. I think I'm okay.
You're a real jigger.
To be honest, I didn't expect such a turn of events. Apparently, during a trick which was familiar to the horse, I got very scared and fell out of the saddle and passed out for a while. How different it all was from my usual life in New Jersey. Well, I didn't feel the pain of the fall, and most likely I was not destined to become a jigit. However, despite the circumstances associated with my unsuccessful initiation into the jigits, I did not despair, because you cannot think of a better way to get acquainted with the customs and the rituals of the Kazakh people. This was probably the most extreme experience of my life. I wanted to continue my acquaintance with the details and subtleties of Kazakh life in the steppe. After all, I was interested in the matchmaking rite the most. As you can understand, I couldn't miss this ritual. But the sun was already setting towards sunset, and we had to go back. This was, in fact, the end of today's day, filled with bright events and conflicting emotions. I tried on so many different positions. I was an inquisitive traveler, a respected guest, a frantic horseman and fighter. But at the moment, I am a grateful spectator. And at the same time, an acting character of the magic happening all around me. Experiencing incredible impressions, the pleasant fatigue and euphoria, I sit by this fire. Soulful melodies, singing harmoniously, unlike anything. The music was playing. And on this warm, gentle evening, when the sparks flew away from the unusually starry sky, my soul wanted to sing. While my future is unclear, it still promises me a lot of happiness and love. I feel it. Oh, how good the music of the Kazakh people is. How mysterious and promising is my stay in this land. But I've just taken a single step. What's next for me? I want to learn more and more. And I feel this is where I will find my happiness. You'll see.